Let's see about the black. Ooh, that is a nice opaque black. Wow. The money spent is almost worth it for this opaque black. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for art supplies to make your job just a little bit easier, or maybe just so that you can enjoy the craft this much more. Now today, as we were coming back, I figured it'd be a great opportunity to check out some markers. So I was at Walgreens and I saw that they had put out a whole bunch of art supplies, and I figured I'd grab a couple. And today we're going to look at ARTSKILLS double-ended markers. These are their classics. They're called project markers. It's got a chisel and a fine tip, and you know, they look like they could be cool, so I figured we would go ahead and check these out and, you know, welcome us back to the return of Is It Worth It, and kick it off with what I normally do best and work with the most, which is a couple of new markers. So come on, let's go check them out. Alright, so as you can see, this is once again in just a regular chipboard, you know, with a plastic cover. Nothing too fancy. Always nice that you get to see the colors and hopefully get to see, you know, what the colors will actually be like when they're used. I like how they have this down here where it looks as though someone has actually used the marker to show us the color that it's actually going to be. So we'll be interested to see that. Let's see what it says. Dual-tipped permanent markers add vibrant details and designs to artworks, crafts, stationery, and more. It's got 8 colors. Layer thick and thin strokes to build up shading and dimension, showing you just how many variations you can get out of the 2 tips. Here's a tip. Be sure to add a scrap piece of paper underneath your art to protect your work surface. It says it's fast drying, full coverage, so it's, you know, nothing too out of the ordinary, so I'm glad to see that. I don't see if it says water or alcohol based, but I guess we will know that soon enough. So, all right, let's go ahead and crack it open. Oof. Ooh, so, I mean, this is another one of those standard housings. It is more cube shaped, but it's very light. It's very, very light, if I do say so. And it feels, I mean, it feels cheap, right? It feels pretty cheap. And, you know, with that said, it was pretty inexpensive to get it from Walgreens, but it definitely feels cheap, right? You can even hear it. It doesn't sound like there's a lot to it. The plastic's not thick or anything like that, so you can really tell that the housing of itself is really cheap in and of itself. It does have a nice little indicator which one is the fine tip, so the little black line will indicate that it is the fine tip, which is always nice to know. Okay, let's check out the chisel. The chisel looks pretty sturdy and standard. Let's listen for the snap. Oh, it's got a great snap. Alright, so you know that bad boy's on there. The bullet looks, you know, pretty standard, looks pretty good. Okay, let's see if we can post them. Bam, perfect. Alright, nice snap, able to post, always great when that happens. Let's see if the lighter color, let's see what happens there. Ooh, now I have to say that this yellow do not look the same, but yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see on the color. So I get a lot of questions about what I use, so all I'm doing is I'm using Bristol board, just a regular smooth Bristol board 9x12. I'm going to flip it over. Oops, get that out of there. Tear a piece off. There you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and try the red. Let's see what we got here. right? So, I mean, it flows really nicely. It's got a nice flow. If you're light-handed, right, you can get a nice smooth line without actually getting it to bead. But if you're not moving fast enough on the initial stroke, it is going to bead up. But I mean, the flow on this is relatively nice. Like I really do enjoy that. So let's see. Coverage is pretty nice. All right. Oh wow, with the chisel you can even get like the same thin line as you can with the bullet. Now that's interesting. All right. It's got some nice coverage. I mean, you gotta give it that. It's got some really nice coverage. Quick, easy blends. It does seem to be drying relatively quickly. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, the cap came off. There we go. It's a bit darker. It's actually really, it's pretty dark in comparison to the cap. At least the red is. So, this will be something to keep in mind. But, I mean, you cannot, look at that. It's just, there's absolutely no delay in the flow of ink. Like I said, that's just a nice, quick flow. It's really nice. Orange seems to be a lot closer, but I think one of the things that we're going to notice here is that a lot of the colors are darker. Like this one seems to have a little bit more blue in it than it actually shows. It's close, but right? So the green itself, I don't know, the green really seems to be the closest so far. The green's pretty good, but it does look a little bluish. Blue, very saturated blue. Very nice, super saturated purples, but I mean, they're very dark, very, very dark colors. Purple. Right, just, I mean, the coverage on these things, right, the ink flow with these are absolutely fantastic. It just comes right out. These are very, very nice. Very, very nice. A little dark, like I said. Curious about this yellow. Well, it comes out. It's an interesting yellow. It's more of a muted yellow. Out of all the colors, this one seems to be the most muted, is the yellow. So it's not like a bright canary yellow. So yeah. But you cannot fault the ink flow. I mean, the nibs seem very sturdy, right? Nothing's bending. You can get a real nice tip that comes out, right? So when you're doing your feathering, if you are doing feathering, you get a nice little edge and wedge to it, so that's nice. And it seems as though if you can actually, if you can take your time, you could actually almost do one pass right? You could almost do one pass if you do it slow enough. Right, you can do one pass and get a nice coverage on that. Let's see about the black. Ooh, that is a nice opaque black, wow. The money spent is almost worth it for this opaque black. Oh, I might just need to get it working. Okay. It's about no. The ink on this one's not flowing as well as the rest of them. It seems to be as though the ink on here is not exactly getting all the way to the nib, and if you can see how it's fading. So it's really dark, but the nib on this one's kind of busted. So that kind of sucks. But I mean, look at that. Look at there's zero issue on the actual chisel. So it does kind of suck that, you know, that's an issue, that it could happen, but that black is really, really nice. Like, I'm willing to just buy these, the ARTSKILLS blacks, because that is such a nice opaque black. Like, that's really good. I wonder if it would actually go over some of these other colors. Wow. That is a strong, like, wow. I mean, to just cover up the color entirely, this black is, something special. Look at that. I mean, super opaque. If it dries, you go over it again, it'll be completely gone. So the black is worth its weight in the money that you pay for the pack, like, in and of itself. The black's really cool. The blue's really nice. As the markers seemed really good, but you know, let's try some pens. Let's see that. This one, 1, 2, 3. I've recently gotten rid of a whole lot of pens, so don't have that many to choose from. So we're gonna try the Staedtler. We're gonna try this Faber-Castell, and then we're gonna try this Tombow. As usual, we'll use the yellow because generally the consistency of the yellow is, it normally pulls up the ink. So let's see. Yellow, try the orange. Blues. Try this brown, I guess. And, you know, why not? Let's try this red. All right, let's see. I really don't see anything being pulled from there. Like, that's really good. That is really nice. So, I mean, like, the faintest little bit of pull on the Faber-Castell pen. And it's the yellow, of course, right? The yellow, which is, like we've mentioned in many, many episodes before, the brighter the color, the more it pulls up on the ink. So, but, I mean, the slightest amount of pull from the yellow, everything else looks perfectly fine. So these ARTSKILLS markers are actually working really well with fine liners, which is great. And yeah, like I said, the consistency is nice. Yeah, these are some good markers. All right, so we just got done reviewing the ARTSKILLS marker, dual end markers, and I mean, I have to say, these are pretty awesome, right? The consistency was great, the ink flow was awesome. It didn't tear up any of the inks, like it barely, I mean, barely pulled up any of the ink when it was with yellow. And I mean, this one, this right here, this black, so opaque, so nice, great for coverage. Like, this marker in and of itself is worth the amount of money that it costs for the markers. And I believe, if memory serves me right, I spent like $8 or so. And I mean, this was great. It was a shame that the bullet point was already dead, kind of, when I got it. But if it wasn't, I mean, you could do a lot of inking with that because the ink is just so opaque. So, to be honest, go out and try these out. I think they're absolutely worth it for the money that it costs for the product. It was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, go check these markers out. Well, thank you so very much for being a part of the return of Is It Worth It? I hope that you learned something or got some information out of this video so that it will help you in your artistic journey. If you have any suggestions of any type of product that you would like me to try out, please go ahead and drop it in the comments and I will go ahead and add it to the list. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified every single time that I add up new content. Thank you guys so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.